We believe if it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
So.
Visit driveamazda.com/DFW and sign up for a test drive today.
Over the years, I think one of the most interesting things about the band is that there are so many styles, so many genres kind of all colliding at one time, sometimes in one song, but obviously on a record you'll hear something that's very jazzy, something that's very metal-y, something that's very, they'll have hip-hop in songs, things like that. Do you guys think that Incubus have, let's say, a sound? You know, when you hear the beginning of a U2 song, you immediately know that it's a U2 song, or a Coldplay song, or a Muse song, or Pink Floyd, or whatever. Do you guys think that Incubus have a distinct sound, let's say?
We're kind of the least qualified people to answer that question, actually. I mean, truthfully.
We should be the most qualified, but we're...
I mean, I don't
That's a good question.
I don't think we should be, to be honest. It's kind of like we live inside of it, so it's like...
It's hard to tell.
We don't, we don't talk about, we're going to create this kind of a sound or, sit down and plan it out or whatever. It's just, we make the music that we feel, that comes out of us, and it just sort of, falls where it may, I guess. It just doesn't, I don't feel like I've ever done a good job of trying to classify where our music fits, because whatever whenever I hear like other people's opinions of it, it's usually very far away from what mine is. So.
You know what we're not. I have opinions on this. I think that there are through lines in our band. I think that there are things that make us identifiable as Incubus. I think that exactly what those things are, I'm not sure, but I know that we definitely have recognizable traits. I think that the more important thing, the part that I find interesting about this, when I've been able to be mildly objective, outside looking in just a little bit, because it's obviously very difficult. I very rarely meet young people nowadays who are like, I only like this kind of music. I only like metal. I only like hip hop. I only like jazz. I feel like modern human beings in like the modern world listen to like lots of different kinds of music. Thanks, Darren. I don't need the reverb anymore. I feel like I'm talking in a cave. And that's something that we actualized at a very young age. When we decided we wanted to play music, we wanted to be a band, it never really came up what kind of band we wanted to be. We knew that we loved hard rock. We loved certain kinds of metal. We knew that we loved like classic rock. We loved the hip hop of the 90s. Michael loved jazz. I loved like weird jazz stuff. And so it seemed, the music that we write never seemed to be, it was never a strain for us to be like, let's make hybrid music. Let's like pull all these different things together. It's just what comes out of us. So I think that is a testament to maybe something. Do you know where I'm going with this? I don't know.
That might be
I had a point and I lost it.
That might be what makes the sound, is that the sound is not, there was no intention, from my understanding, because I've only been around for about 8 years, so I've only seen the good days. But from my understanding, it's like, the sound is what happens when this band gets together and they're not trying to limit themselves, not aiming for like a certain point on the map, like we're going to sound like this. We're going to be like Led Zeppelin, but with rap, or something, without doing that.
Which would be pretty awesome. Let me just throw that out there.
It would. I mean, yeah, but yeah, it does. It seems like it's a bunch of people just getting together, being themselves, and letting everything out. And I guess that makes it, after a while, you get to recognize the familiar things,
I've been hell-bent on the idea of making what we do a pure creative outlet, and I think it kind of shows, like, we always approach albums and songwriting with this sort of like let's just it's like we're throwing paint at a canvas and seeing what it is after the fact. There's very little kind of like deliberate contrivance. Is that a word? When you contrive something, is that contrivance?
I like it.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Word now.
Works.
You guys know what I'm getting at, though. So basically, we're throwing paint at a white wall and being like, oh, cool, look at that. If you put these two things together, it makes that. A perfect example is like We wrote a record called Morning View in 2001, and the last song on the record is called Aqueous Transmission. And Michael and I were sitting in the living room of this house that we rented and trying to write a song that would be totally inappropriate for an Incubus record. We were kind of trying to do that. Michael playing this riff, and I started singing the stuff on it, and it was like, can we do this? Are we allowed to make a song like this? And I think that was a cool moment because we realized that we could kind of, yes, we could do whatever. And as long as we approach it with a sense of purity, it will be, well received.
Well, using your throwing paint analogy, I thought one of the raddest things lately was being able to watch what you guys do and how the process kind of goes along on the website. Not that long ago, I got to go out to LA to go to one of the Incubus HQ shows. And I thought it was so cool how interactive you guys are with the fans on Incubus HQ. For those of you who don't know, or Brandon, or whoever, you can actually kind of describe what those shows were like and how people could, log on and watch.
Yeah, we borrowed this art gallery on La Brea in Los Angeles and converted it into our rehearsal space / pop-up store / place where people can come and draw on the walls freely. And then we were broadcasting it all live with multiple cameras from multiple angles and all these different things. So it was one part experiment, one part terrifying way to get the word out there that we were like putting a record out and going on tour. It was very stressful because it was like, it was kind of, every time that we picked up our instruments, like it went live to this Incubus HQ thing. But what's interesting is that, we got used to it, and we ended up doing, I think it was 7 nights of programming where we did shows every night, and people from all over the world, we'd fly them in, and they could be right there. And one of the things I learned is that all young people have a camera attached to their face now.
Oh, man. Watching it, you have to watch a concert with your phone here.
It was so funky. Like, it was like we didn't exist unless it was through the lens of their phone.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing. It's fun. I mean, it was super fun, super scary. And I'm really glad that we did it. And I'm glad that it's over, too.
Well, talking about the new record coming out, the brand new album, obviously, in stores right now. That's why you guys are here, promoting that and out on tour with Young the Giant. It was the first record in quite a while. A lot had gone on. People had gone back to school, had kids, solo records. Weird being back in the studio, or like riding a bike? You all walk in and go, all right, let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, knock something out.
It was like riding a weird bike.
With no seat.
It was like that for you?
No, for me, it was like putting on an old jacket that still fits. It was like, oh, it's getting cold out. Yeah. All right.
It was exciting, actually. It's difficult because, especially having been out of the bubble, we call it the bubble. We created this weird alternate universe for ourselves, and we left it. We'd been in it for like 15 years, and we left it, and we put it down for a while. And like you said, like Mikey went to school, our drummer had a baby, Ben did a solo record, I did a solo record. We all just kind of like went off in different directions. But I think that all of us were doing things that we probably knew somewhere in our hearts and our minds would eventually inform Incubus and would be enriching to that little universe that we'd created. So when we came back, it was it was like kind of like trying to oil an old machine, but then it started working, and it started working really well, and it started getting exciting. We went and recorded music in Nashville with Brendan O'Brien, who produced the record, and it was freezing cold outside. There was nothing to do but make music, and it was really, really cool. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was like you didn't want to be outside for more than 20 seconds, so we would run into the car, race over to the studio, run from the car to the studio, and that was it for 2 weeks. Like, no outside bathrooms, no anything crazy. It was just hotel room car, studio car, hotel room car, studio car.
Do you have fond memories of that experience, though?
I do, though.
I have such fond memories of it. It was so exciting. Like, because it also felt like we were unearthing new sounds. It felt like we were unearthing treasures that had kind of been there and maybe like waiting dormant. And we started, like, remember when we wrote, there's a song on the new record called Friends and Lovers, and I remember when we were kind of like finishing it, it was it was just exciting. It's hard to explain without sounding terribly
See,
vain.
you take like the deep angle. I was just happy to not have to like clean my house or do any laundry or have to. I was just like, I'm free.
I was missing those things secretly. Washing machine.
Well, I know you guys don't do this, come to studios like ours a whole lot, so thank you guys very much. Incubus, everybody.